Hey everybody, I feel the need to find out what Tom Cruise's best movie is.
Show me the money!
Tom Cruise was knighted afterwards. Like, we all know these facts.
I want the truth!
It's a bad movie. What have I done?
Hello, welcome to the Screen Test. My name's Jack Howard. I'm joined as always by the chief film critic at The Independent, Clarisse Loughrey.
Hello.
1/3 of the Cyber Nerds, Joe Ikhinmwin.
It's good.
And this week we have Matt from the YouTube channel Full Fat Videos.
Show me the money, Jack.
That's my line. I want a point docked.
Right, that's it, Matt. You're starting on -1.
Show me the money!
Nothing
But just
I
keep
can
saying
do.
it.
-2.
I'm sorry, you're starting on -1 and everybody else is on 0.
Oh, no.
Sorry, that's just the rules.
It's not your movie.
There's no denying that Tom Cruise is one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Across the span of 38 years, he's made over 40 movies, and as a leading man, his films have made almost $3.5 billion at the box office. You name the genre, and he's made a movie in it. Prime Video has a wide collection of some of his best, like A Few Good Men, Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, and Edge of Tomorrow.
How many times have we been here? How many times?
For me, it's been an eternity.
Now, before we get started, I just want to let you know we've omitted Mission Impossible from the running because we've already put those movies through the screen test in our Spy episode. So if you want to check that out, it's in the description below. But there's plenty of other movies to choose from, so let's get started. Matt, what's your sort of taste in stuff outside of the stuff that you make?
I do like a wide breadth of movies. Unfortunately, this week, I could have picked Magnolia. I could have picked a load of cinephile movies, but I went with Edge of Tomorrow. You know, I love Jerry Maguire. I love Top Gun, but I'm sorry, it's not got a patch on the MI films. It's not got a patch on Edge of Tomorrow. He's Tom Cruise, the stuntman. He's one of the greatest physical actors we've ever had. He's up there with Buster Keaton and Jackie Chan, and I feel like Edge of Tomorrow proves that.
Okay, that's a very firm stance to take about Tom Cruise movies. Joe, what have you picked?
I picked a movie about the best sports agent ever, Jerry Maguire. I picked this movie because I feel like this is a version of Tom Cruise that I would like to see more often, where he's spreading his acting wings and showing his range, as well as great performances from his supporting cast and just mixing it up a bit more than he does in Mission Impossible and Edge of Tomorrow.
Clarisse, what have you brought to the table?
Look, if I was a smart person who wanted to win this, I would have picked Magnolia because Paul Thomas Anderson. But I am a dumb person, and my little lizard brain is really obsessed with Top Gun. I'm very obsessed with Top Gun. I don't know why. It's kind of not a good movie.
So, first of all, before we get into it, were these easy picks? Were these obvious ones for you, ones that you wanted to talk about? Any honourable mentions for Tom Cruise movies?
What came to mind is because I went back and I watched a whole bunch of Tom Cruise movies, and then Magnolia popped up, and I had never seen that before, and I watched it. And I wanted to pick it, but then I was like, is this actually a Tom Cruise movie?
What, because it's such an ensemble?
Yeah, and like he's just, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't carry that movie, so I didn't feel like it was a real Tom Cruise movie, so I didn't pick it because of that. But then once I took that off the table, I felt like for me it was always going to be Jerry Maguire, and I would have picked Jerry Maguire even if the Mission Impossible movies were on the table.
That's crazy talk. If the Mission Impossible movies were on the table, it'd be a different story completely.
I still wouldn't have picked him.
I feel like Collateral as well has to be shouted out.
Minority Report?
Oh, yeah.
That too. I mean, he's
Just-
made a
this is
lot
just
of good ones.
Tropic
Eyes
Thunder.
Wide Shut.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of movies.
He's been around. So here's how this show works. 3 films go up against each other. In this case, obviously, we have Top Gun versus Jerry Maguire versus The Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, whatever it wants to be called now.
All you need is kill.
It's got an identity crisis. We put those films through a series of rounds, including cast, memorable scene, and cultural impact. And then based on your arguments, I get to decide which one's best. I get to give you some points, sometimes randomly, and with a great amount of bias, to officially decide which Tom Cruise is the best Tom Cruise movie. And Tom, if you're watching, it's all of them. We love you. We want you to come on the show.
I
Do
feel
you
like if
think
Tom
he's
was watching,
watching?
he'd pick me.
So we're going to start with cast. And obviously, usually, it's
Tom
not
Cruise.
all the same one. So what is it about your performance from Tom Cruise, and obviously the surrounding cast as well? What performance is the best? I'm going to start with Matt. Take it away with Edge of Tomorrow.
Well, director Doug Liman actually wanted to do this movie so badly because it was going to portray a different side to Tom Cruise. I really love him in Jerry Maguire, and I really love him in Top Gun. But I feel like it's the kind of Tom Cruise performance that the Tom Cruise haters think he is, where he's like always awesome.
Hollywood
do you know what I mean?
hero.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like America, like, you know, always gets the girl, he's always awesome, always, you know, throws the punch.
I'm super likable.
Yeah, you know, like Tom Cruise, he's awesome. Whereas I feel like this movie starts off, it's the complete opposite of that. We meet Major William Cage. He admits, you know, he's not a soldier. He was someone that was drafted into the military when the aliens hit and the world was all like ushered into this war machine. So he comes from like an advertising firm background. He's not a soldier. He actually says he's scared of the sight of blood, which are all like anti-staples in a Tom Cruise action movie. Do you know what I mean? Like he's always playing like Jack Reacher or Ethan Hunt, where he's like unstoppable. But this movie completely changes that. This is the most unique Tom Cruise action role of all time, because you actually get to see him progress into the person that Ethan Hunt is through this kind of like wonderful video game mechanic where he keeps waking up on the beach. And then as the armies are storming it, trying to fight these aliens, he keeps getting better and better and learning different techniques to become that badass Tom Cruise we all know. And I just think it's such a wonderful way of doing it and of flipping what we know about Tom Cruise on its head.
I think it's a genius thing to do, especially in a movie like this, where he's going to be reliving the same thing over and over again, to purposefully start him in a place where we're like, I kind of want to see him go through this hell.
Yeah.
Like, this guy sucks. Like, he is basically Jerry Maguire in the army. Like, he's just trying to talk his way out of it. He thinks he's sort of better than it. And can you imagine being in the group where he gets brought to you as punishment? Like, he's come and he thinks that he's better than this. Of course you'd hate him. I think it's a great way to start off that film.
And all the stakes are thrown against him, you know, like he gets thrown into J Squad. Not only do they not like him, they don't believe him. He's got no training. There's no escape. Like, no matter what happens tomorrow, he is dropping on that beach. He's not a soldier. So he's certainly doomed. He is going to die. And of course, not only is he going to die, he's going to die again and again and again.
Let's stay on the Tom Cruise chain and let's go over to Joe. What is it about his performance in Jerry Maguire that you say you want to see more of from Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I just feel like me coming into like Tom Cruise movies, he's always been the action guy, running, jumping, doing all these kind of things. And I feel like in Jerry Maguire, he kind of does none of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's dealing with a personal dilemma, professional dilemma, and it gets to a point where has to be very vulnerable. He gets stripped down to pretty much nothing and has to kind of like build his whole life back up, while still kind of making like the wrong decisions and just not understanding the direction he's going in. So I feel like when I watched this movie again recently, because I've loved this movie for a long time, maybe because, you know, I've got a sports background, that's why it resonated with me at a younger age. But watching it recently, I really appreciated how much actual acting Tom Cruise does and how believable I think he is and how heartfelt some of the scenes are. Like, rom-coms aren't usually, well, they're not my thing at all. Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like what he does in this movie is he never kind of makes it feel like that. He just lets you just feel like you're just watching a man's life, like at this pivotal moment where he's making all of these decisions to where it's just going to guide the rest of his way. And I feel like he goes from the I'll do anything arsehole sports agent at the top of the agency to the I'm at the bottom of the pack, and personal connection and love are these things that I now realize are way more important than having 100 clients and no one cares for me. And that is epitomized at the end of the movie when him and Cuban Gooding Jr. hug, and the other sports agent, the one who stole all his clients.
Why don't we have a relationship like that?
I mean, COVID, but as soon as it's over, for sure. I've been waiting to hug you since the show started. Yeah. But where the agent who stole all of his clients, his client looks at him and says, yo, why haven't we got a relationship like that? Bang. And I just feel like for me, that's it. That encompasses the whole thing of why I love this, and I think this is the best Tom Cruise movie.
Can I be brutally honest.
Go ahead.
I don't really get Jerry Maguire, because to me it feels like Tom Cruise is acting in a different movie, because obviously like he has this natural intensity to him that I think
And
is
it's turned up in
impossible.
this one.
In that job,
When he keeps going like,
Very high.
in that job, you need as an agent, you need that energy, you need that intensity.
Yeah, and
Like-
I get that at the beginning, because the beginning seems like a very different movie to where it ends up. The beginning is this quite like sharp satire of the sports management world and how cutthroat it is. But then when he's having the scenes with Renee Zellweger, it's like he doesn't turn it down, and it always feels like, to me, I get worried for her, because it looks like he's about to unlock his jaw and swallow her like a snake.
Clarisse, I know what you mean, because every shot of Renee Zellweger interacting with Tom Cruise is her looking at him like he's the most wonderful person who's ever walked the earth. She's so deeply in love with him from the start that it
Yeah.
almost reads as kind of odd and funny that he's this sort of mess of a person who hasn't figured himself out yet. And I get that the point is that she can see that he's trying his best, but he just seems like, you get your shit together and then maybe we can be romantically involved.
Yeah, there just seems to be something slightly off where I buy the sports management story. I don't know if I buy the romance, because
I agree.
There's too much going on in that performance, and I don't know how that man falls in love.
Yeah, it doesn't come across as a 50-50, oh, we both fell in love at the same time. But she's got an admiration for the gesture he did in making the memo. And she feels like she has a deep, like she feels like she knows the real Tom Cruise. And he's just been this guy, this agent, doing all of this stuff because that's just who he's been. But in his moment of clarity, he writes the memo, and that's what she connects to, and that's what she falls in love with. And she becomes almost a vehicle helping him become that person as a whole, as well as being the sports agent who's now fallen from grace and has to build his way back up. So for me, I feel it. It makes sense to me.
And maybe we can talk about this more later, but I feel like the film itself has kind of not aged badly. I don't think it's aged, but I think it's just aged. And you've got female characters in it who are entirely defined by their relationship with men, to the point where there is a group of women who get together because they have had bad relationships with men, who then, when good-looking Tom Cruise walks in, they're all like, oh, like it's just a little bit like, this is made by a man. This is a man in the 90s making a film, and here are some angry women who just need to have a nice man turn up, and then they'll feel better.
It's a bit weird that when they first hook up, there's like a whole jokey thing about sexual harassment, and she's like, I won't sue you.
Yeah.
Which I get at the time was
Not a thing.
Did not read as weird as it does today. But I do get what you mean. Like it feels of its time.
Yes.
But
And I
not
don't think it
necessarily
should be
in a
held
bad
against
way.
it. It's
No.
just clear, like out of the ones that we've picked here, I mean, let's talk about Top Gun in a second.
Well, yeah, Top Gun is also
Yeah.
is very, very of its time.
Let's move on to this then. What is it about Tom Cruise's performance in this first that you really like?
What I like, I think it feels like this is before Tom Cruise gained any kind of self-awareness, because this is the movie that made him a star. I mean, he'd done Risky Business before and I think Legend, but this was the one that created Tom Cruise, the movie star. And there's something very like pure about him in this movie, because like he doesn't have that self-conscious like, I'm a movie star trying to, and I know that I'm famous and I know that people think I'm cool. There's a desperation to Maverick, which I really enjoy. He just really wants everyone to like him and to think that he's a cool guy who looks cool on a motorcycle.
But he is the cool guy. Like every single shot, he's framed in the most awesome way
That's
possible.
Tony Scott.
Just,
Yeah, it's pure Tony Scott for 2 hours, and I love that about it. But I think in terms of Cruise and his performance, it's just all the worst parts about Tom Cruise's filmography. Do you know what I mean? Like him just being the cool, infallible guy. And I feel like both these other movies sort of walked so that Edge of Tomorrow could run in terms of what Cruise could pull off.
But I think there's like a sweetness to it. Because if you look at the shots in Top Gun of when he's smiling, like it's very pure, because like his like desire, the need for speed, like he plays that as like like a sort of like just unbridled pure joy. Like he just wants to go fast because that's what makes him happy. And I feel like that feeds every layer of his performance. And I just love the little moments where he's like smiling to himself or he's smiling at Kelly McGinnis. And it's like, I can't do it because I'm not Tom Cruise, but like, you know what I'm talking about, the Tom Cruise smile. Here it's just at its most just like
I just see the
pure.
Ben Stiller impression in my head.
like that. But that's where it comes from. It's from Top Gun.
Does anybody want to say anything about their surrounding cast? Anything about Renee Zellweger, about Emily Blunt? Anything like that you want to bring up?
I want to talk about Cuban Gooding Jr. I mean, he won Best Supporting Actor for his part in this, and I think it's one of his better roles.
It's an iconic performance.
Yeah, I mean, like when I watch it now, I'm so shocked that it's Cuban Gooding Jr. like doing this, because obviously I've seen like more of his more recent movies, and then going back and I had forgot that it was him playing the role, and with his wife, who's played by
Regina King.
Regina
King.
Thank you.
I feel
She's
like
so good.
that is it. That pairing is so good, because when Cuba Gooding Jr. becomes vulnerable, she is there to empower him. And just for me as a black guy, like you don't see black relationships like that in movies, especially at that time. So I was just like, rah, this is so touching and so powerful. So I'm glad even back then he got Best Supporting Actor for that.
And it doesn't seem like the usual sort of performance that would get a Best Actor performance at the Academy, because it's not, you know what I mean? Like it
doesn't seem conventional.
Yeah, totally. So yeah. Matt, anything you want to say about the cast of Edge of Tomorrow?
Well, first off, Emily Blunt is like not only doing her best Sarah Connor impression, but like after watching Edge of Tomorrow, I'm sorry, like where's her Marvel movie? Where's her big blockbuster franchise? This is her best action role, as well as Tom Cruise's best action role. And she eats every scene she's in. She's fantastic. And she's not just the damsel in distress character. There's a great moment in the movie where Cage says, why don't you go stay in the house and there's food there and wait for me to go and come back so, you know, I can be the manly action hero. And she's just like, I'm a soldier, you know, I'm not giving up. No matter how many times you say I die in this helicopter, this is who I am. It's a fantastic character. And then also, Sarah Connor with that James Cameron connection, we've got Bill Paxton in what I would argue is his final James Cameron role.
I also think it's one of my favourite Bill Paxton roles as well.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, but it completely channels his roles in stuff like Aliens. You know, this is the only man in Hollywood that was killed by a Predator, an Alien, and a Terminator. And to see those sci-fi roots come back here with him playing Sergeant Farrell, he's just hilarious. Every line, like, you know, are you an American, sir? No, I'm from Kentucky. Fantastic.
I also think that Emily Blunt does excellent montage acting. The amount of time she keeps going again, and you know that in that scene she's just been told, in this setup you just need to act like he's done it a lot and you just need to say the word again.
Yeah.
And she does excellent montage acting.
I would argue I consider Edge of Tomorrow more an Emily Blunt movie than because she's just so the center of attention. I think as well because we hadn't really seen her do that kind of role before, so it felt absolutely revolutionary. And the fact she's the full metal bitch, I love that.
Okay, I'm going to bring it to an end of that round, unless there was something you wanted to say about Top Gun.
Anthony Edwards is Goose. We love him. We love his mustache. We love Tom Skerritt's mustache. Kelly McGillis is great. Meg Ryan turns up. She's fantastic, even though she doesn't have many scenes. She's like, I'm Meg Ryan and I am here. Val Kilmer.
It is the 80s.
Val Kilmer chewing ice chips because he was like, if I'm going to be called Iceman, I'm going to do something with ice. So he decided to chew on ice chips, and that is great acting choice. I love you, Val Kilmer.
I am going to give full points to Edge of Tomorrow, which brings your -1 up to 2, Matt.
Hell yeah.
You started by referencing the wrong film.
Show me the money, Jack.
Stop it. I'll do it again. And then I'm going to give 2 points to Jerry Maguire and a single point to Top Gun. You might notice that my bias is against Top Gun. I'll try and keep that in check, but I don't particularly like Top Gun.
I mean, that's fair. It's not a good movie.
So that means at this point in time, Top Gun is in last place with 1 point. Jerry Maguire has 2 points, as well as Edge of Tomorrow, which also has 2 points.
Okay.
I just want to give you a fun fact, everybody. How far Tom Cruise runs in these movies, okay? In Jerry Maguire, he runs 500 feet. I can't remember when the running scene is, but apparently he runs 500 feet. In Top Gun, it's only 496 feet, because you know most of the traveling in that is done by vehicle. And in Edge of Tomorrow, he runs 1,022 feet.
But
The clear winner.
because he's in the exoskeleton,
The big-
he's not doing the arms.
Yeah,
But like
it's
Tom
just the
Cruise
most
and running, it
important
has to be
arms.
essential to every film. And if there's not a lot of it, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't cut the mustard.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, the most running he's ever done was in Mission Impossible 3. Remember that massive unbroken take of him running across? That was, well, not that entire take, but across that movie was 3,212 feet that he ran.
He was born to run.
Why is there
Clarice.
running in Top Gun then, Clarice? Why are they all in
Because he
planes?
was also born to fly.
Now let's go on to cultural impacts. And Clarice, what is it you want to say?
Well, okay. So when we're talking about cultural impact, like it's just the amount of it, right? Not necessarily for the greater good of humanity.
Okay.
Can we set these ground rules?
So the ground rules are how much influence it's had. Doesn't matter if it was good or bad.
Yeah, because Top Gun kind of changed Hollywood in quite a bad way. It was basically one of the most effective pieces of military propaganda. There's a 500% increase in Navy recruits, and they would literally pitch outside of screenings of the film and say, hey, would you like to join the Navy? And a great fact is, though, actually within the Navy itself, there is a $5 fine if you ever quote Top Gun because they're sick of it.
Hilarious.
So
And weird.
yeah, so that's not great. And it also established sort of a new system, I guess, where to be able to use like the Tomcats and the aircraft carriers and to have access to all these facilities without completely blowing the budget, the Navy agreed that they could use those things as long as the Department of Defense had approval of the script. And so they made several changes to it. For example, they didn't like that the planes kept colliding in midair. So that's why when Goose dies, it's to do with the jet stream or something. I don't understand it. And that has been the pattern from now on. And many Hollywood productions will actually go to the US Army, get their script approval, so anything negative about the US military is taken out, and then they say, okay, you can use our airplanes and our army things. So that's not great for art.
Yes.
Is this supposed to be helping you win?
Jack, I'll judge
But
you
as we
if that gets
said,
3
as
points.
we said,
It's-
it was the cultural. We agreed it didn't
No,
have
we
to be
didn't
a
agree.
good
I always
cultural
like honesty,
legacy.
I like it when people don't always try and spin it so that it makes them look good.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that.
We are talking about the impact of Top Gun. It had a huge impact. It just wasn't good.
Anything else that it did, like in cinema
Yes.
itself?
Well, pretty much the reason Michael Bay exists because Tony Scott established the language of like the empty.
Let's shoot everything like a
soulless
commercial.
commercial. Yeah, Tony Scott was hired because of a commercial he did where it
Mm-hmm.
was like a car and an airplane racing, and Jerry Bruckheimer was like, cool, make a movie that's that, but it's a movie. What Tony Scott did, a very positive thing, was that he changed the way that these scenes were shot by mounting the cameras actually on and inside the planes, which I think has influenced every single like scene of aerial combat since.
How do you feel about the upcoming sequel, Maverick?
I mean, it seems like a bad idea because of the things I just said. But I watched the trailer and it looked really cool.
It looks like he's taking the best elements of
looks
Mission
really
Impossible
cool.
and applying it to Top Gun. And, you know, Macquarie's involved. I'm pretty sure Eddie Hamilton, who edits the Mission Impossible movies, is editing Top Gun Maverick. It feels like
Yeah.
it's good. And Tom Cruise is probably going to be really flying the planes.
He's flying the planes. He is
so
flying
it's
the
like,
planes.
I'm in. I want to see that in IMAX.
And they recreated the shot where he's on the motorcycle and the plane's taking off, and that's like the best bit. So
So, Jack, what you're saying is the best elements of Edge of Tomorrow being put into Top Gun will make Top Gun a better movie.
Go on.
Well, the stunts, Macquarie, who wrote
Yep.
Edge of Tomorrow, adding all those elements in, we've immediately got a way better Top Gun movie.
So what do you think, like, the cultural impact of Edge of Tomorrow is then? Do you think it's that?
Well, not only did it, permeate the Cruise Macquarie sandwich, which I love. And
Yes,
they're
I am all
literally-
about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally taking a movie to space. So, yeah, I think its cultural impact lies in the fact that it is the greatest video game movie of all time. Not because it...
Unofficially.
Well, I mean, I think where a lot of video game movies go wrong is they copy the aesthetics of the games, like with the most recent Tomb Raider film. They get in all like the quick time event jumps that you'd see in a video game, but like it's a soulless adaptation. Whereas Edge of Tomorrow takes all the tropes from video games and puts it into an exciting action movie narrative. You've literally got Tom Cruise training and learning all the different beats and literally gaining XP, and it's the most satisfying way to deliver that video game narrative ever.
What are you
it's just not a video game movie. Like,
but it's a total video game movie.
I agree. It is. Like, it's not an adaptation of a video game, but it's going.
I mean,
what if we followed the main character in a video game and he really thought it was his reality?
Female character sounds right. We have a girl, but you can't. The girl's not the main character.
Any movie where like you have to relive the day over and over again, it becomes a video game movie. Well,
I guess in essence, I would argue that stuff like Groundhog Day and Time and
also video game movies.
And Palm Springs, they do have video game elements, but I think this movie is more of...
We're taking the whole element of respawning too far with
But I think this is doing
video
that.
Game. It's Call of Duty.
It's not Call of Duty.
It is.
I think it fully is like doing the respawn.
I hear that, but if we're going to put that to Edge of Tomorrow, then it means that for all these other movies, and they're not.
I think Joe does agree with me. I think he's just lying for the sake of points.
No, not really, because I feel like... if we're going to talk about cultural impact, I feel like Jerry Maguire out both of these movies, well, maybe not Top Gun because of the whole war propaganda thing, but actually affects more than just Tom Cruise then doing more stuff for Tom Cruise. Like, and what happens in Top Gun, like obviously you're saying that he's going to take the Edge of Tomorrow stuff and put that into, and Mission Impossible, and put that into the Maverick movie. In Jerry Maguire, it kind of led the way, firstly, with all of the pop culture references, show me the money, you complete me, help you.
Yeah, I mean,
you had
Joker
me at hello.
says that to Batman.
Yeah, all of this stuff. There's all of that, but then it's also the impact of shows that have now come out in the wake of Jerry Maguire, like Ballers, like Entourage, where you're meeting these agents. Like Ari Gold in Entourage is Jerry Maguire
Evil
before
Jerry
he
Maguire.
gets fired. Yeah. As well as that, you get Tom Cruise doing more stuff that he's just not known for. Like I am with the jumping off buildings and running, but I just feel like seeing him be emotional,
That's his Twitter bio.
seeing him fall in love with a little kid.
Yeah, man.
Like I think that's great, especially coming from someone like him who's not known for it. And I feel like he should do more of it. And when we was all talking about Magnolia at the beginning of the movie, that's got nothing to do with action hero stuff. Like that is a part of Tom Cruise that I feel like today we are definitely missing. And I hope there's a Jerry Maguire sequel or something. There's something where he gets to, stretch his acting wings again.
I think when he becomes too old to do the action stuff, I think he'll revert back to that sort of like 90s Cruise, Interview with a Vampire, like doing all these weird, interesting
You say
roles.
that, I just don't know if he's going to make it. I feel like he's going to... something's going to happen.
Oh, this
or
got
he'll
dark
do
real
it
quick,
for real
Jack.
in the movie, for the sake of the movie. Like, this is how I want to go, everyone. And no one will be able to stop him.
He's
'cause
going to
Tom
fight
Cruise.
a bear. Sorry, that's
And
a
win.
callback to a previous episode.
Why do you always get him to fight a bear?
Because I know he's going to lose. It's the one thing he can't do. Is fight a bear.
I think, Joe, I'm going to give you the full points for cultural impact, because I think that in movie world, the amount of quotes that came from Jerry Maguire, like the amount of things like that people don't even know that they came from. You had me at hello and you complete me alone. People might even be like, whoa, that's from Jerry Maguire. Yes, that's where that's from. It's amazing. And then I think 2 points to Top Gun, because I thought you argued that very, very well. The idea that even though it's not positive, it's an impact.
Pretty insidious,
it
but
did it.
It happened.
It happened. And that leaves 1 point for Edge of Tomorrow. Okay, so at the end of that round, Jerry Maguire is leading with 5 points, and Top Gun and The Edge of Tomorrow are neck and neck with 3 points each. Let's move on to the next round, which is memorable scene/scenes. This is an opportunity to talk about anything that you think stands out alone in your movie. I'm going to come straight to Edge of Tomorrow because I think there's a lot to talk about in here. Which one are you going to pick one? Are you going to pick a few?
Well, it's kind of one in the same, isn't it? Like, I went to pick the beach scene, but then, as I was going through my notes before we came to the show, it's like, oh, is that little moment in that beach scene, or is it in the third beach scene? Like, it all gets so wonderfully jumbled together. But I picked for the first memorable scene, the very first time Cage drops on the beach. Because as I said earlier, everything's against him. And then when it drops down, this whole movie is a masterclass in action editing, because the clarity that you're given in those early setups, like, Kimmel, when he's crushed by the helicopter, we see that. We see Emily Blunt's character Rita coming out and joining the battle. We see J Squad end up in that kind of like crater, and we're given all these like little pieces of geography, so that when we go back and reset the day, we know instantly what's going to happen. We know what Tom Cruise has got to overcome. Like, and I just think that first scene and establishing all those rules and establishing where everyone is, it does so much in such a short space of time, and it does it in such a way that the audience isn't even aware it's happening, because they're not even aware of the payoffs until like 4 loops in, when he finally saves Kimmel and like pushes him out of the way. You're like, oh, sweet.
I think that build-up as well, when he's in the plane and he doesn't know how to turn the safety off his gun. I mean, again, just an amazing piece of information just to give to you that just creates tension. It feels like he's about to go on a roller coaster and he's not ready, and he's like, oh no, I didn't realize what I signed up for. And just when the ground is opening up underneath him, there's just this sense of dread that you feel as an audience. Like, even though you know the concept of the movie going in, it feels like very real stakes.
It's a perfect war movie, because you feel like, even in his mech suit with all his guns and abilities, that anyone can go at any moment. You're dropping into, essentially Saving Private Ryan. Anyone could get shot through the head at any moment. He doesn't feel like, again, the typical Tom Cruise, where he's just going to storm the beach and the day will be saved. You are fully watching it, expecting him to die. I
also want to add in one. I'm going to help you out a little bit with something that I love in the movie, where there's a moment when they get further than they've ever got, and you feel like you're still with Tom Cruise's character, like he's your perspective on what's going on. And it feels a little bit like the movie's about to sag. Like it's about to be like, oh, so it's not going to reset anymore. And we've kind of like, we've played out that concept, and now it's just going to play out for the rest of the movie. Bit boring. And then it flips you, and all of a sudden you're in Emily Blunt's perspective, and she's like, how many times have we been here? How many times have we done this? And that moment it plays like a twist.
Jack, I'm so annoyed with you right now, because I wrote this all down and this was going to be my big moment.
Go ahead, take it off.
You've said it all now. But no, I completely agree with you.
You can go back and do it again.
Yeah, on the next loop, I'll know you're gonna say it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I love that shift in perspective. The way like the movie has the confidence to jump around in the edit and jump around in time, and it just knows the audience is going to come along. Like, you see the first couple of loops one after the other, and then you're given little hints and details as his skills grow that, oh, we must have missed like 5 loops for him to do that trick, right? And we must have missed like 10 loops here, blah, 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 blah. And then when we get to that farmhouse scene, you're right, it's such a brilliant moment, because we're so attuned to, this is from Cage's perspective, this is all through him, and then suddenly, oh wait, what would this feel like through Emily Blunt's eyes? This would be a really weird experience, because obviously he knows how many sachets of sugar to put in my coffee and all these different things, and then suddenly it dawns on her, oh, why are you keeping me here? There must be a reason why you don't want me to get in that helicopter. And then of course it reveals character, because Cage has to admit, the only reason I'm keeping you here is because I love you and I don't want you to die. And if we win today and you die here, that means the day won't reset, so you'll stay permanently dead. And I can't have that happen no matter what. It's a fantastic scene.
All right, let's move on to Jerry Maguire. What are the memorable scenes from that you want to talk about?
I mean,
show me the money!
There you go. I mean, we started off the show with Show Me the Money, and I feel like that's just one of those scenes that has transcended the movie. People are aware of that.
And that scene goes further than you remember as well. Like, yeah, I thought it was just Show Me the Money.
Yeah, when I watched it back, I was like, oh, this is actually so much better than just Show Me the Money. Like, it really goes in. And I love that. I just love that scene for what it does for Tom Cruise's character. Like, he's losing all his clients. He's not at breaking point, but the lights, all of the lights from his phone are still flashing, and he's losing the client one by one, but he's like, I've got to get this guy. And then on the other side, you've got a disgruntled client who's been with Jerry Maguire for a couple years and has never got what he believes is the best out of that relationship. So he's like making him beg, do you know what I'm saying, to keep him there. And I feel like that's what then drags out that emotion out of Tom Cruise that "Show Me the Money." The wide shot of Tom Cruise in the office screaming, "Show me the money," and everyone looking into the office like he's a madman. I just feel like that's just beautiful. So I loved everything about that. There's another scene that no one will probably ever talk about ever, but it's after the football game when Cuban Gooding Jr. comes out and he's talking to Tom Cruise's character, and they're talking about like, why are you here at the game? And like, I feel like that's when they have their first argument and realize that they're actually friends. And I feel like that's just a big turning point in the movie for Tom Cruise's character. And I felt like it's just really emotional, and I really understood it, and I liked it, and I was just like this is sick. And I really feel like when I rewatched Jerry Maguire, that I just fell in love with this movie all over again. And I feel like that Tom Cruise there in that moment is a Tom Cruise that I don't get to see enough.
Clarisse, famous scenes from Top Gun.
Baby oil topless volleyball.
All right, and at the end of that round...
I mean, I think part of the reason I am so fascinated with Top Gun is the, like, very famous, like, it's so 80s and such a commodification and sexualization of the male body that it is intensely homoerotic, but potentially not aware of it, even though, like, every time any of them have a conversation in the locker room, it's like dick first. It's just fascinating. And there's so many, like, I love when Goose dies and Maverick is in mourning. When we meet him, he's in the bathroom. He's only got his tidy whities on. And he's staring at himself in the mirror, just, like, beset with grief because his best friend died.
But he looks great.
And he doesn't feel like wearing any clothes right now. Like, that's what I love about Top Gun. It's like, I don't even care that much about the aerial fights. I think they are actually quite well shot for the time that it was and the technology that they had to create those dogfights. I just love the weird little details that are you just go, why did they make that decision? Why do they keep talking about butts all the time? Why do they, when they seduce Kelly McGillis, they do it by karaoke? What a weird way to seduce a woman, to get every Navy guy in the bar to sing That Lovin' Feeling to a strange woman, and they all know the words because apparently this is something that happens frequently.
That's how we all do that as guys. We get together and we'll come up with a musical number to try and swear on side. It happens a lot.
Just love it.
Just not recently because it's been a pandemic. Like, we haven't been able to do it.
Normally, just lost that love and feeling.
Are those all the ones you want to point out?
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, mostly the volleyball. I love and I love that he plays the volleyball. So he's late for his date with Kelly McGillis, because he's playing volleyball in his jeans. Why is he wearing his jeans? Topless, but with jeans. And then he turns up late to her house for their date. And the first thing he says is, "Can I have a shower?" And she says, "No." So they have dinner and it looks like they're about to hook up, and then Maverick goes, "I'm gonna go take a shower," and leaves her. And it just seems like he doesn't actually want to be with her because
he wants to be oiled up playing volleyball.
He wants to be oiled up playing volleyball, playing with the boys.
Although I think it would be wrong not to mention the silhouetted sex scene from Top Gun.
The tongue, there's so much tongue. So I was kind of hoping to not bring it up because I don't like thinking about that scene. It's really weird. And again, this is what I just love about Top Gun. It's such a perfect artifact of what I imagine it was like living in the 80s.
All right. Is there anything else anybody wants to add about memorable scenes before I round up the points?
If we're going for points, I'd like to chuck in as many as possible.
Go ahead.
The other thing I really wanted to mention was when Cage stops the entire plot for a scene and he just goes to the pub. It's a scene that in like any other action movie would have been cut for pacing issues, but here it's in all its glory and it's one of the most crucial scenes in the movie. He just decides, I don't want to keep getting squashed and burned and beaten.
I'm having a day off.
Yeah, I want a day off. And also, if we're tying back into performance, Cruise gives my favourite reaction of the movie. He's sort of saying to everyone, they don't know. It's dramatic irony for the audience. aren't you supposed to be on that beach? Yeah, I've been on that beach time and time again. Like, I should be there right now, you know. I'll be one of the first ones to die. And then, like, he's joking about it. And the old guy next to him just goes, coward. And the way he reacts to that, he is so hurt from the fact that he has done so much. He's gone through so much pain, and no one's even there to praise him. And it also ties into his wonderful arc across the movie of, again, comes from an advertising firm, ends the movie with J Squad and Bill Paxton and all these other people not knowing that he saved the world. And it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
but does he do a high-low high five?
I'm sure he does at some point.
I mean, come on.
That's what I'd like him to do
high,
after he comes
and
in.
then they go low.
And sees Renee Zellweger and he goes, "You complete me."
That was a great impression, man.
High five.
That was
Thanks very much.
seriously... Do you think you could do that again? Like, catch that lightning in a bottle?
Look, I understand that you're giving me compliments because you're looking for points. And flattery does help. So I'm going to give you 3 points for Edge of Tomorrow. I genuinely think it has some of my favourite moments
Show me
out of
the
all
money.
these films. 2 points to Jerry Maguire and a single point. Lonely little point.
Your ego's writing checks that your body can't cash.
Well,
I didn't even bring up that line, even though it's genius.
we didn't even really talk about You Complete Me either.
We didn't.
This-
Feel the need for speed. You can
So
be
many
my
quotes.
wingman
What do
anytime.
you think the best Tom Cruise quote is out of all the movies?
Show me the money.
It's got to be up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Feel the need for speed.
Show me the
Although I do like Tom Cruise playing Austin Powers in Goldmember and saying, shall we shag now or shall we shag later? That is one of the best Tom Cruise lines.
At the end of that round, Jerry Maguire is in the lead with 7 points. Edge of Tomorrow just behind with 6, and Top Gun trailing behind with 4 points.
Oh, well.
And now we're going into the IMDb rating round. So what order do you think they're going to land in? What do you think your chances are of being on the top? Where do you
Not
think they're going
good.
to... No?
It's fine. I knew it wasn't going to win. I just wanted to pick Top Gun because I enjoy the silliness.
And I like the personal touch. Joe, where do you think that Jerry Maguire is going to land?
This is tough. I got a feeling it's going to come in last.
Do you think?
I mean, I think like Top Gun is a
Yeah, I
classic.
think the Top Gun's probably a little bit...
But it's not a good movie.
It's not
though.
good. Yeah. So I think people know that.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay, so I'll go. I'm going off Jack's energy. I'm gonna go Jerry Maguire, Edge of Tomorrow, Top Gun.
Matt, what do you think?
See, I think Edge of Tomorrow is going to be last because, like, it didn't do too well at the box office. I feel like
But I
those
think-
other two movies, like, do you know what I mean, they're
But
really
people
big,
like
really
it.
well known.
People like it.
People like it.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those ones as well that's like people call it an underrated movie as well, and I think those movies tend to get rated up higher.
I do think as well, like, in terms of ratings on IMDb, the more recent the film is, it does have an advantage.
Yes, that is
Um,
true.
So, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll put my chips down. I'll say it's first, but
All right,
yeah.
let's go with the one we all know is going to be last.
Imagine
Alexa,
if it's 9.
tell me the IMDb rating for Top Gun.
One review.
Top Gun has an IMDb rating of 6.9 out of 10.
6.9.
That's fair.
Just going to go ahead and give you 1 point. Alexa, tell me the IMDb rating for Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire has an IMDb rating of 7.3 out of 10.
7.3. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'll take my 2 points though.
Do you reckon that's a second place one?
Yeah.
All right. Alexa, tell me the IMDb rating for The Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow has an IMDb rating of 7.9 out of 10.
So that means that Edge of Tomorrow gets 3 points, Jerry Maguire gets 2 points, and Top Gun gets 1 point. And guys, you're not going to believe it.
We've got a tie.
We've got a tiebreaker. Obviously, Clarisse can step down. Top Gun's got 5 points. Jerry Maguire and The Edge of Tomorrow both have 9 points each. Right, okay, guys. So we have a tiebreaker. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. And you're going to do a closing statement for me of why I could give you the Screen Test Award. Why do you deserve this? And you can use whatever arguments you want. You can talk about the film more, or you can appeal to me. Whatever you want to do. Clarisse, who do you think should go first?
Oh, God, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Don't join in.
I don't know. Me, should I get a second shot for Top Gun?
Okay, go on then.
No. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. What have I done?
I just asked you to. Who should go first?
Joe.
All right.
Go with the rest.
Are you ready, Joe?
Yeah.
Alexa, put 30 seconds on the clock, please.
30 seconds. Starting now.
I think no matter what happens, Jerry Maguire will be remembered way longer than Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow ends up being the same Tom Cruise saves the day movie, while Jerry Maguire is an exploration into character, love, and sports. Jerry Maguire has some of the most memorable quotes that will go down in history and that have impacted movies upon movies upon movies, like The Dark Knight, which is one of the greatest movies of all time, and will continue to do it. And I just want Jack to know that you complete me.
You know what? That's going to be tough to beat. That was both informative about the movie and also complimentary. And maybe we should have a little bit of a chat after the cameras are off, Joe.
Maybe.
Okay, Matt, are you ready?
Yeah. Can I trash the other 2 movies in this 30 seconds?
You can do whatever you want.
Top Gun.
Top Gun's gone,
leave
just so you know.
out.
That would be a waste of
talk
breath.
about Top Gun.
Top Gun I'll just
Talk
do
about
for
Top
fun.
Alexa, put 30 seconds on the clock, please.
30 seconds. Starting now.
Edge of Tomorrow is the greatest movie of all time. We all know that. It's better than Citizen Kane. It's better than Star Wars. It's better than The Godfather. It is the greatest movie of all time. It's the #1 movie at the box office. It beat Avatar. Tom Cruise was knighted afterwards. Like, we all know these facts. And Jack, you also said that I could appeal to you personally. So, Jack, you look fantastic today.
Thank you.
Really just making it all work. And just a charming and overall lovely person to be on a podcast with. And Edge of Tomorrow is also great. Some of the best action editing of all time. Could have come out in the 80s starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's it.
Oh, we're done.
Matt, I mean, I've just got to commend you for just lying. You just use lying as a technique there.
Much like Jerry, I'll do anything to keep my clients.
I tell you what, I personally prefer Edge of Tomorrow. I think Edge of Tomorrow is a better film. I like that it uses Tom Cruise in a way that you're not used to in the modern movies. I think some of the action in it is as good as Mad Max Fury Road and doesn't get the acknowledgement that it deserves. What you just said about action editing and cinematography and the way it uses geography, all of that is amazing. I love a time loop movie. But Joe, you argued that really well.
Show me the money.
I love black people.
Show me the money.
So I'm going to award the Screen Test Award to Jerry Maguire. And Joe, your final closing statement did that. So I'm going to hand that to you now. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here's the money.
Listen, I just want to thank my agent, Jerry Maguire. And for everyone out there, just know, this is for you. Show me the money.
So, to end the show, we are going to do everyone's favourite segment. It's Unbox The Plot. Matt, I will introduce the rules in a second, but the tradition is our guest needs to come up with a theme tune and sing it as I get the box that we're going to unbox. So, theme tune.
Unbox the plot.
Wow.
How was that? I went really high at the end just to really sell it,
I really liked that. So, here's the deal. In this box here is my favourite pick for a Tom Cruise movie that isn't a Mission Impossible film. I'm going to show you 4 clues, and you have to try and guess what they are based on those clues. The earlier in the cluage that you guess, the more likely you are to win. So if you guess on point 1 and somebody else guesses on point 3, you will win. Okay, here we go. Unbox the plot. Okay, some of these are so vague, so I'm going to start with a really, really vague one.
Okay.
It's a flashing red alert sign.
Oh, now I'm confused.
This is a very vague reference to something in the film, but I hope it will make sense.
But the thing
when I
I'm thinking
explain
of, we've mentioned, so now I'm very confused.
Okay.
I'm
Maybe
putting one down.
Okay. The next clue is a handle. Really thinking outside the box, but literally, like, this is silly. A handle. The next clue.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Little navy hat.
Top Gun.
Well, What do you think? I mean, actually, I don't
God.
mind that. That looks pretty good. I think I might just start wearing this. There is also, you know, a navy thing to go with it, but I don't really want to wear this. But the hat will do.
Okay.
And the final one that I think I should just have. I'm going to take the hat off. It's making it very difficult. I think I should just have this on the show all the time.
Oh,
they've all got it on the final clue.
Oh my God, of course. Okay.
Everyone all at once. 1, 2, 3. Say it.
Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Oh, that wasn't very in sync, was it?
I had said Vanilla Sky when you
Vanilla Sky.
when you brought out the flashing light.
So that Code Red. Huh?
Yeah.
Code
Yeah.
Red.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh my God.
That's terrible.
Navy and obviously Courtroom. And if we're talking about Tom Cruise quotes, I know he doesn't say you can't handle the truth, but he sets it up real nice. So there we go. Jerry Maguire is officially the best Tom Cruise movie ever made. Do you agree with our decision? Let us know in the comments below what film you would have chosen. And if this episode has you screaming, "Show me the movies!" Get yourself onto Prime Video right now because they have loads of Tom Cruise movies, including Collateral, Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, A Few Good Men, and Jack Reacher Never Go Back, so you're spoilt for choice. Next week we have comedian Alasdair Beckett-King here to fight for his favourite horror movie, so we'll see you then. Okay, bye.